and welcome to Indigenous Connections. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Randy Robinson, Outreach Coordinator at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's National Conservation Training Center near Shepherdstown, West Virginia. I'm sitting in today for our regular Indigenous Connections host, Jen Hill. Jen coordinates our Native Youth Climate Adaptation and Leadership Congress, or NICALC, a week-long on-site program for Indigenous high school youth to grow their leadership skills. The 2023 Native Youth Program will be held this June at NCTC. Later in the program, you'll meet Drew Lister, and he was a participant in the 2022 Native Youth Program last summer. Before introducing today's presenter, we would like to acknowledge that the National Conservation Training Center is located on the ancestral lands of many Indigenous peoples. We do not have a full accounting, but are aware that many peoples lived on this land. They include the Massawomack, the Haudenosaunee, the Shawnee, and the Delaware. We now seek to grow and sustain relationships with Indigenous communities through collaboration in training, outreach, youth programs, museum exhibits, and more. We encourage others to learn about the land on which they work and reside. Today on Indigenous Connections, we are very happy to have a presentation by Chanel Te-Vashara with Environment for the Americas. Chanel is the Internship Program Manager at Environment for the Americas and has been supporting diversity internship programs for nearly 2 years. In graduate school, she focused on the importance of social science in conservation, and she has a passion for creating inclusive spaces for students to grow professionally. We welcome your questions and comments anytime during this program. You can use the online chat room, or you can email us at broadcast@fws.gov. Chanel, thanks a lot for joining us today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. Like Randy said, my name is Chanel Te-Vashara. I'm the Internship Programs Manager with Environment for the Americas. Today I'll be filling in for Carina Ruiz, who is supposed to present today. She had something come up, so I was more than happy to take her place and share a bit more about our programs. So a little bit about Environment for the Americas. We are a nonprofit organization based in Boulder, Colorado, and we were created in response to the success of World Migratory Bird Day in 2009. And our main mission is to engage a diverse workforce by fostering cultural awareness and connecting underrepresented youth in the fields of research, education, conservation, and preservation. If you're ever in Boulder, please come by our office, or a dog-friendly office. We usually have at least 2 dogs in the office for people to come meet, and you guys can meet all of us and see our shop as well. As I mentioned, World Migratory Bird Day and our educational component has been a focus since the beginning of Environment for the Americas. We have educators with formal training that develop educational materials in multiple languages and offer trainings both virtually and in person. When we learned why parks weren't engaging with diverse participants, this led to the research of why engagement might work in some places and not in the US. So we used World Migratory Bird Day as kind of the research vessel, and the product was an increase in 65% of the Latino community coming to parks and participating in World Migratory Bird Day. The Department of the Interior and other federal agencies set a goal to increase diversity in their workforce, and to accomplish this effort, they partnered with us in 2009. Our internship programs grow year after year, and we're so glad we can support the growth of young, diverse adults through our programming. Our internships actually started with hiring international interns from Colombia and Mexico to conduct research in our national parks in the US. Through this internship, we recognized interns didn't have the representation we were hoping for in the spaces that they were working in, which kickstarted our research on this subject. Learning a bit more about the lack of representation was certainly enlightening and gave us a better idea of the cultural differences that affected conservation efforts. it also paved the way for a lot of other research that we facilitate. So with a better understanding of the barriers that diverse applicants face, we set a goal to be the bridge between racially diverse students and conservation experiences. Our internship program started with less than 20 interns, and we have now served more than 400 interns in recent years. The interns pictured here have continued their work in bird conservation, and because none of these interns had bird research prior to interning with us, seeing them fly from the nest is one of our greatest joys. The top left photo is Stephanie Laredo, who recently came onto our staff and now manages bird-related internships and supports our hummingbird conservation work as well. We also are accredited by the Core Network, which helps support our programming across several of our programs. Our internship programs are really truly built on partnership. Agencies host the programs and pipe the funds to us, their partner, and we administer the project funds, we recruit interns, hire, pay, and train professionals in the STEM field. Since coordinating our first programs in 2009, we have conducted surveys at multiple points to gauge the intern experience and improve our programs year after year. I'll be taking the next few minutes to discuss some of our findings from our surveys. One finding was a strong correlation between intern comfort during their internship and the actual intern's interest in pursuing a federal career. On a Likert scale question where 1 was very uncomfortable and 5 was comfortable, 90% of interns that felt comfortable during their internship expressed an interest in a career with a federal agency. Another finding was that interns that visit parks frequently, more than once per year, were twice as likely to have applied for a federal position in the past than those who had never actually been to parks before. Upon completion of their internship, 87% of interns expressed interest in pursuing a federal career. We also have interns identifying barriers that they face prior to applying to a position. So only 38% of interns said that they faced no barriers, meaning most of our interns had at least one concern. I will expand on these a little bit more in the next slide. So Ruby was an intern who identified family as a barrier. We have a quote for Ruby that will give you kind of an idea of how much these barriers can affect interns and if they're applying to our programs. I won't read you this whole thing, but what she does say is in Latino culture, it's very rare for kids to stray away from home. And she actually only applied to positions that were in the same state that she resided in. Her family, especially her mother, was pretty against her leaving for a position, but she really wanted to see things through and experience it. So because of this, we host a family webinar to kind of communicate a little bit more about our programs to families that are willing to attend. We also have it as a recording, so interns can share the recording with their families as well. We do have some published research on this topic with hopes that other programs can use this data to improve their programming as well. So as you saw in the video, Ruby was speaking on the importance of representation. So this is something that our interns are well aware of and try to be advocates for as well. So these are some of our statistics from our cohort of interns, not last summer, but the summer before, so 2021. And I just wanted to highlight some of the figures to show how intentional we are with intern selection. So the pie chart shows the diversity in our programs, which is close to 97% of our interns are diverse. And last year we had 86 total interns. 9 of them have actually already moved on to careers in their field, with 5 of those being federal positions. You can see that the gender ratio was pretty good, pretty even across our programs. And we also had about half of our applicants coming from minority serving schools. Our staff is intentionally as diverse as our program interns. We have backgrounds from all over the world and all corners of the US, filled with various ethnicities and identities so that interns can feel recognized and related to. Since our interns come from all walks of life, we are dedicated to ensuring that they all feel welcome and heard during their work experiences. So this is just a quick video of one of our park partners with some advice on how to create a safe and welcoming space for interns as they are embarking on their professional careers.
Hi, my name is Jeff Wolin, lead interpreter at Florists and Fossil Beds, and the way I like to try to provide positive experiences for our interns is first through intentions and remembering why you're having the interns come, that they're doing great work for the Park Service, and kind of always keep that in mind. Make them comfortable right from the start on their first day. Introduce them, show them around, be ready for them. Make sure their workspace is all ready. You've got all kinds of things for them, and have fun. Go for a hike, see some of the cool resources, and show them why people enjoy and visit these parks. And also gratitude is, again, remembering that they're doing really great work. So find when they're doing the good stuff and reward them, and a thank you, a Facebook post about what they're doing if they want to, and have other folks on staff also be thanking them as well. And so those are some of the ways that we try to make a positive experience here at Florists and Fossil Beds.
So we open our application system to everyone, and we work to recruit talented, professionally and academically appropriate, community-engaged interns. So we promote cross-marketing of all of our internships, and our program managers and leads do their best to take into consideration the candidate's cultural background. During the internship, our staff will visit as many sites as possible to make sure that the intern is receiving the support that they need in a healthy environment. So for our internship programs, we try to create a great support system with multiple resources for our interns to access during their internship. So one of the things that we do is we offer 2 prepaid counseling sessions for all of our interns. We work with a great clinical psychologist that provides services for our interns. So they're welcome to reach out to her at any time. They don't have to go through us to access her services. We also survey our interns. We do 3 surveys throughout the program. So a pre-internship survey before interns actually go to their site, a mid-internship survey, which is kind of at the halfway point of their internship to just do any check-ins and resolve any concerns that they might have. And then we also do a post-internship survey to assess their intern experience and to see if they have any feedback for us as we improve the program for the next year. We are also resources for the interns, so I do bi-weekly check-ins with my interns to make sure that they're having a positive and meaningful experience in their program, and that gives them an opportunity and a space to bring up any concerns that they might have as well. In addition, we work really closely with our mentors at various federal agencies, not just the National Park Service, to make sure that they're creating positive spaces for their interns to learn as well. And then we also have an anonymous platform, which is what you see over here at Incognito, which is just an anonymous website where interns can report concerns or any questions that they might have anonymously. So since this is might be interns' first professional experiences, we want to give them the support that they need to be successful in their position. In 2021, Ed Kim was an education and outreach intern at Yaquina Head Outstanding Natural Area, a wildlife protection and land conservation site on the Oregon coast. And from his surveys, he said his internship was some of the best 6 months of his life, as he was able to become a part of so many incredible memories and connections that he'll cherish for years to come. He had some really impressive photos and great videos of his site, so I just wanted to share some of those here. Ed was tasked with developing interpretive programs on natural history and presented school curriculum and facilitated environmental education programs to several school groups throughout his position. He also participated in some bird work at Yaquina, where he conducted field research through common mirror monitoring. And following his internship, Ed was actually a communications associate at our office, and he hopes to pursue graduate school in the future. So I want to pass it over to Drew now, who is a member of the Navajo Nation. Drew currently works in Washington, D.C. at the Office of Native American Affairs as a tribal liaison intern. From an early age, he's always had an itch for helping people and developing relationships. He attended the University of Washington in Seattle and completed his bachelor's in Native American Studies. While attending school, Drew volunteered for the Special Olympics and worked at the Daybreak Star Cultural Center for the United Indians of all tribes, working on a homeless prevention program in the Puget Sound region. Drew hopes to pursue law school to study Native American law and environmental law. So I will pass it to Drew to share his experience as an intern.
Thank you, Chanel. Hello, everybody. My name is Drew Lister. I'm a tribal member of the Great Navajo Nation, and I'd just love to talk to you about some of my internship experience. So right now I work in Washington, D.C. at the Office of Native American Affairs for the National Park Service. So for my particular position, I work specifically on tribal consultation and work with strengthening relations with tribal nations. So what is tribal consultation? Tribal consultation can be a mutually agreed upon process, exchanging information between government organizations and indigenous tribes, nations, and bands. So what the NPS specifically works on is strengthening tribal sovereignty and self-governance. The report that I just worked on most recently is the Tribal Consultation Report from fiscal years 2019 to 21. The report's around 104 pages. The report also shows relevant information on projects and the relationship of the park and their indigenous counterparts who call these lands their home. So next slide, please. So some of my benefits of working at the Environment for Americas is that I've always struggled with public speaking, and through the various opportunities I've been presented to work on, such as presenting to other EFTA interns, which can be seen in the picture above, was that I've been working on various different things to help me get confidence to do things such as this. Secondly, I've met a lot of great people. I've attended many great conferences where I've had the opportunity to learn. These people have always been generous and willing to talk about various things. They also have maintained that they would love to hear from me every so often, so I'm going down the right path. I've also been blessed to meet so many smart Native American youths through attending the Native Youth Climate Adaptation Leadership Conference, where I was a counselor. And most recently, I attended the National Congress of American Indians, the Winter Council session. And I just would like to say that I'm very proud of our Native youths, and they're so strong. And it's safe to say that we have a safe future with our youth. Another thing from working at my current position is that before accepting my internship, I had a vague vision of working with indigenous tribes, but I didn't know exactly how to go about it. The internship has helped me realign my goals and get aspirations or inspirations from my mentors. For example, I've always had a goal of attending grad school, but I didn't necessarily know in which field. Albeit, I have a great mentor, boss, who has helped me learn many laws and regulations, and that inspired me to attend law school in the near future. Lastly, there's so many great opportunities, like I talked about before, like attending NICALC, um, going to the National Congress of American Indians. I've also went to the northern part of Wisconsin at the Apostle Islands, where I attended tribal consultation conferences with many different employees that worked around the area and across the country. So it's been so great to meet very important people. I've even traveled to the Grand Canyon, where my tribe specifically has had historical roots there, and these are just amazing experiences that I would never imagine myself doing without the support of the Environment for the Americas and the MPS. And do you ever take the moment and just take everything in? Like, it's literally amazing. I've been so blessed. Next slide. So growing up in San Diego and New Jersey, I haven't been surrounded by many Indigenous people. I've always been the only Indigenous person in a room full of very diverse people, but they haven't had similar stories as me. So being in rooms with Indigenous people and learning about their stories has really helped me realize that we all have similar stories. I came into the MPS at a great time. There's been a lot of change. I've learned more about my cultural heritage while being in the Park Service compared to when I was being grown up. Oral history is very prominent in our culture, and when you aren't surrounded by other Indigenous people, it can be a little bit hard to learn about the culture. Another thing is that our Native leaders are working tirelessly to help improve the relations that have been a little mismanaged over the years, but having people that are Indigenous at the very top is only going to help resolve these problems. So I know I've talked to Director Sams a couple times, and he was actually when I attended the National Congress of American Indians, the Winter meeting, he actually talked about him being very hard on the federal government, and it's great to see that we have these people that have previously criticized the federal government to be in charge of our industry. And I'm very optimistic about our future. Like, I'm happy that believing that my dream to help Indian country or Indigenous people in general isn't just a dream. There's a lot more work to be done to help repair the relationships with Native tribes, nations, and band. But it is a promising time not only to be in the federal government, but as a young Native American with aspirations to see change within Indian country. Right now, there are more opportunities to work in the government than ever before, and there have been many great agreements that have helped bring Native American tribes closer to the roots, and we are just heading towards a restorative future. So thank you very much.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions for either myself or Drew, I think we'd both be happy to answer anything.
Well, thank you, Chanel, and thank you, Drew. That sounds like a great internship experience that you're having there now. And Drew mentioned public speaking as a skill, but so Chanel, what are some other types of skills that interns are gaining in your program?
Yeah, that's a great question. It does depend on the internship. I would say a lot of our interns gain confidence in field experiences, especially for field positions. Also writing skills, GIS skills. A lot of our summer interns get a lot of experience with those types of things. A lot of our interns also do trainings at the park. So whether that be wilderness first aid, or we actually had interns do chainsaw training for some of their trail work. So different trainings. I always say for our interns to advocate for themselves, because they're in a space where there's lots of resources available for them to get involved in. So I think it's up to them to get the most out of their internship, but there's definitely lots of benefits and skills and confidence gain after an internship wraps up.
And what's the rough success rate of hiring interns after their internship would end?
It is program dependent. I will say our highest rate is in our resource assistant program with the U.S. Forest Service, and that is almost a 75% higher rate. So it is really quite high. Our summer programs do offer public land corps or direct hire authority hiring certificates. So that also helps a lot of our interns transition into federal positions. So if not receiving a position, our interns are certainly interviewing for a lot of federal positions.
So if anybody has any questions, feel free to put those into the chat room for Chanel or Drew. So roughly how many Indigenous candidates or interns do you host each year?
It depends on the year. This year, we certainly have seen a lot of growth. I manage a program that actually does have a goal of engaging with Indigenous communities and inviting Indigenous youth to intern with us. That's the Fish and Feathers internship program. And we have about 13% of our interns in that program are Indigenous. So that's probably the highest number that we have right now. We're, of course, working on our connections with tribal communities, and we hope to do that more to tell them more about our programs and what we offer. We try to make our programs as inclusive and accessible as we can.
So we have a question here from Philip. How did Drew hear about this opening with Environment for the Americas?
So I actually was searching the web for job openings for Native American positions, and I just stumbled across this job opening at the Environment for Americas. And before that, I was having a little bit of trouble signing up for USA Jobs, and the process was a little bit challenging. So getting this position was definitely a lot helpful, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, great position that you're in there in DC. What stands out for you among the experiences that you've had so far? What stands out?
I think my best, I think the coolest experience I've had was basically, I actually sat down with Director Sands one-on-one, and we talked about like my aspirations of what I want to do when I'm older, and then I asked about like what led him towards the path to being a director of the National Park Service, and how could I get there? And it was an amazing experience, and he's just an awesome guy, amazing.
A great internship for you. So you know what we should do, Chanel, since we've got folks here. Oh, we've got a question from Helen. Do you work with any tribes in Alaska?
Not specifically, but we definitely work, or maybe that's for Chanel.
I think it might be for you, Drew. I'm not sure.
We work with Alaska tribes very frequently. I know that I'm actually going to Alaska very soon to learn about the tribal consultation with Alaskan tribes. So I can definitely learn a lot more of how we work with tribes in the future.
Well, that'll be another great experience. Let's see, Philip is asking, can the Environment for the Americas be used to place interns nationwide?
Yeah, definitely. We have lots of, we actually have a massive map right now that shows all of our internships. So a lot of our internships are individual placement. So they might be in a cohort, but they're actually spread across several national parks across the United States. In Fish and Feathers, we actually work with parks in Guam and Saipan. So we'll have interns from there this summer as well.
And Jesse has a comment here about USA Jobs is so different from other types of employment applications. More is more, which is the opposite of what you are taught to do with your resume at a university. I think what she's saying is, people don't like to brag about themselves, but you sort of need to some degree. On USA Jobs, you really want to be thorough about putting down all of your experiences, all of your skills, even if you might not think they're so important. They can be.
Yeah, I will chime in here because that is actually a problem that a lot of our interns are facing, just like the complexities of applying through USA Jobs. So, as part of our programs, interns will have the opportunity to attend professional development webinars, which I think I mentioned briefly, but one of the topics is how to navigate USA Jobs and building and strengthening a federal resume. So, that kind of does help interns gain that skill of being able to actually go and apply for federal positions more comfortably.
Yeah, that's great. So Chanel, while we've got folks here, why don't you tell us a little bit about International Migratory Bird Day that Environment for the Americas sponsors every year and has been for a long time?
Sure. So World Migratory Bird Day is a global celebration of migratory birds and their conservation. So folks all over the place, even our federal partners, will host tables or educational events on the second Saturday of May and October. So we're kind of coming up on our spring celebration. And a lot of our interns do actually host tables. We have lots of educational materials in multiple languages. We have shirts that we sell on our website. And we really do try to involve the interns and our partners in World Migratory Bird Day. So there is a separate website for World Migratory Bird Day, which I can provide if folks are interested. But it's definitely a cool portion of Environment for the Americas. And while I work mostly on internships, it's a super fun project that we get to work on each year. And the theme for this year is water. Last year was light and light pollution.
And I have to say, they always have awesome posters. I've got them up all over my walls in my office here. The World Migratory Bird Day posters always are very unique and so well done. So Philip's got a question here. Environment for the Americas, mentioned working with minority serving institutions. Do you have similar relationships with tribal nations?
That is a great question. It is a work in progress, I would say. And I know Carina is not here today, but I know that that's a big task that we're hoping to tackle this year and make valuable connections. We also work very closely with parks that are adjacent to reservations so that they're able to work if we kind of play up that partnership. So if the park already has a good working relationship, we try to send job opportunities to them so that they're able to do some outreach there. But we would love to create any partnerships, hopefully this summer when our team is tackling site visits and visiting sites. We're going to try to build up our tribal connections as well.
Well, thank you, Chanel. And Jesse posted into the chat room URL there for resources for Migratory Bird Day. So thank you, Jesse.
I will say this year's poster is my favorite. It's very beautiful, and the artist is really great that we worked with.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing that one. Well, I think that wraps up our questions here. So Chanel and Drew, thank you very much for sharing your time with us today. We appreciate your expertise and experience. And please join us next month. That'll be Wednesday, April 19th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time for our next Indigenous Connections broadcast. And just a reminder, each of these programs is recorded and available on NCTC's website. And if you'd like to learn more about this broadcast series or be added to our email list, please email Jennifer Hill. That's Jennifer, Jennifer, _Hill, HILL, at FWS, as in Fish Wildlife Service, .gov. Jennifer_Hill at FWS.gov if you'd like to learn more or get on our email list for Indigenous Connections. So once again, thank you all very much for joining us today. Thanks to our guests, Chanel and Drew, and have a good day. Thank you.